Welcome to the Reinvent Your World broadcast. My name is Donna Woolham, and I'm your host. My goal is for every woman to know that God loves you and He's for you. And no matter where you are today, you can start right now and create an incredible new life. Let's get started into the show, okay? I have to tell you, I am really excited to introduce to you today's guest. Barbara Maisonet is someone I've known for quite a while, and she is the kind of woman that you want to know. She is full of joy and life and wisdom and experience. She is so funny and incredibly patient. If you knew the backstory of today's interview, you would understand why I say that. So Barbara lives in San Diego, California. She's a life and business coach, and we'll talk quite a bit more about that. She is a single, divorced, pre-COVID homeschool mama of one amazing son. And I think it's important to note that that's pre-COVID. This is a choice she made, not a choice that was made for her. And some of the things that she loves to do, and I love this because it's kind of the indoor, the outdoor, the broad diversity of her personality. She loves puzzling, but she also loves hiking and going on vacation and trying new recipes. So maybe we'll have to have a recipe swap. Barbara, what do you think?
I have to be honest, it's recipes that my son does. I've now tasked him that once a week he has to cook one meal. So we find recipes and then he cooks it. So I'll have to see if he's open to the swap because he's doing the cooking right now.
All righty then. Well, maybe I have a super simple, very family driven recipe for a coconut pie. I don't know if you guys like coconut pie, but
I love coconut.
Oh, nice. Well, I'll see if he'll swap me one of his recipes for the grandmother Lewis coconut pie. So
love it. I love it.
Barbara, one of the things that I ask you before we start our interview is to share a favorite scripture. And as I read this and I thought about the people that listen to our broadcast, Deuteronomy 31:8, and the Lord, He is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be dismayed. And I think that especially in the times that we're living in, that is such a powerful, powerful scripture for all of us to remember.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it comes to my mind a lot. It's so needed. I mean, it's so needed anytime, but it feels like we need it more now. I don't know why, but it just feels like it. And it's just a good reminder that like, okay, He's right next to me. So whatever trials or obstacles that we're going through, it's something that's implanted in me that like, He's right here. He's right next to us and He's walking with us. So I really needed that reminder.
And you are a life and business coach. So you are touching people's lives in some of the most difficult places in their life right now. I mean, I'm sure that you've seen a broad spectrum, but you specialize in coaching businesses who have been in business long enough to know it's time to move up to the next level, and they're ready to partner with a coach to teach them how. So when people are coming to you and they know that this is a time to level up, but they're looking at the world around them, I'm sure that you have to kind of work through some mindset and some different things. Would that be true?
I do. Yes. The coaching that I do includes life coaching, unless they specifically say, no, I don't want to do any life coaching. Let's just focus on the business coaching. But naturally, the training I had has to do, it's ontological training. So I incorporate a lot of the life coaching elements of mindset and, identifying blueprints that we had and really looking at, how we're doing on certain things like boundaries, honoring boundaries, or, parameters in our lives, or, what we tell ourselves every day, or the stories that we believe, because it does kind of just transfer often subconsciously into building a business. And so when we kind of tackle some of those things we bring into our business and we kind of unlayer them and work through them and find freedom in them or healing, or sometimes we just have to let them go, that's when you really start to see the businesses even level up at a greater velocity and even more quickly. So it's really
Yeah.
twofold that I enjoy offering to my clients.
I love that. Love that. Well, in our broadcast, what we really focus on is helping people find a way back through after they've faced some challenges. And these are primarily women who know that there's more out there in life for them, but because of I call it a life altering situation, It could be a loss, it could be a gain, it could be any kind of thing, but they went to bed one way and the next day life changed for them.
Mm.
So what I love to do personally is to help people reclaim their life in that moment. And so do you have a time like that where you faced a life altering event or situation that you would like to talk to us about today?
Sure. Yes. I was thinking about how to answer this. And I believe the last time I was with you, I spoke about how my husband decided that he didn't want to be married any longer. And he walked out on me and my 1-year-old son at the time. And it was life altering, especially for somebody that had prayed and waited and was like, okay, here I am, and this is how I thought it was going to be, right? Blessed with this wonderful marriage, and come to find out that's not what happened at all. So
Mhm.
that was a tragedy in and of itself for what it was, but then just, a faith tragedy on my end, like really having to work through, wow, promises and things I expected that God would do. And, and that's not how he works. And
Mm.
there was a lot there. And then less than a year later, my father passed away super unexpectedly,
Wow.
just out of the blue. And so I just kind of got faced with quite a few life altering experiences that happened. This was probably about 10 years ago. And then as I was thinking about this question, one of the things that just landed on me as my most recent life altering was a loss of friendships. And I didn't realize until I was thinking about, speaking with you today, like how incredibly powerful that was to now a single mom, right? A single mom who's trying to make it work. I work to stay so that my son could be near his dad. So I live in a place without any family help. And, here I am. It's not necessarily, the cheapest place to live that I have to live in. So I work really hard, and I didn't realize the power of that loss until it happened in the last couple of
Mm.
years, multiple times. And I was like, with no explanations, just friendships, friends
Wow.
that walked away. And that for me has been probably the biggest life altering thing that's happened to me in the last couple of years, is losing friends that I thought, oh, this is it. Like, we're in this, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be friends till, we're going to be sitting on the porches, rocking
Hmm.
on the rocking chairs, drinking lemonade at 90, and they're no longer. And that's been pretty devastating for me. And I've really had to work through that. So I know that was three, but they're kind of in chronological order, and they just kind of
Yeah.
all work together as far as really facing some, life altering events that's happened to me.
Yeah. And I do not discount the power of relationship and friendship in particular
Mm-hmm.
because of, and I might not have thought about that except that the experience that I had of moving away from all of
Mm,
my friends. And so they were over there, and over time, those relationships just break down.
yeah.
And all of a sudden you find yourself thinking, you know, and some people might think, well, this is a silly thing, but it's like all of a sudden there's
Mm-mm.
not anybody to go have a cup of coffee with
Right.
or to
It's
sit down and talk
mm,
about life with, and you're thinking, wow, am I really out here all alone in the middle of all of this? So
it's so true. It's so, and you're right. I just really didn't think about it until I had to, I mean, I knew it was, as I'm going through it, was terrible. And then it's repeated itself a couple times with no explanations. I have no idea. That's maybe a difficult part too, is, just the complexity of friendships and understanding and people and how they deal with conflict and how they deal with, different elements of just walking this earth, and how they handle, or how they just contribute or not contribute to relationships. And then there you are, right? Like yourself, like, so now I'm really like by myself, and people that I had hoped and counted would be there are no longer there, with no explanation. Just wow. So it's I don't know what the right word is. It's sad, but it's also just enlightening to see the complexity of how people navigate through relationships, and how it impacts each person.
And it's a broad kind of how a friendship touched your life. And so when is over, how how your life looks then. So in that, I mean, because you're finding, it sounds like, Barbara, your marriage, your dad, your friends, what would you say that you discovered about yourself as you were going through that you thought, wow, I didn't know that was in there, or wow, I didn't know I could do that? What would be something that you could say you discovered about yourself through the hardship?
Whew. That's a tough question to answer, because you just discover so much. But if I had to pick one thing, it would be, I'm going to cheat, Donna. I'm going to say two. Resilience.
That's okay.
Resilience, but resilience with empathy, because it could have been so easy, especially in the divorce, and then with these friendships, it could have been so easy, right? Like for me to just become so bitter and so, angry, because it wasn't justified, or, I didn't do necessarily anything to deserve this. I didn't, steal all of their shoes and ran away, in these friendships. So there's not a reason really that I could think of. And I racked my brain for these losses. So I really was intentional about not becoming angry or bitter. And as a result, I learned some empathy, some more empathy, or a lot of empathy, and, combined with just resilience, just as a woman, as a woman of faith, that's like, right. That goes back to my verse. Like, I'm not alone. God's going to be with me. And here I am forging on to the next piece of my journey. Right. And it just happens to be without a husband that I thought was going to be there, or it happened to be without, a few of these friendships that I thought for sure would be with me till the end. Yeah. So those are my two words. I cheated. Sorry, Donna.
That's okay. Okay. So how did you gain balance in all of that? I mean, because that must have been just another, I mean, I'm thinking about it, that in my thought process, if I was looking at you, then it would just be like another little piece of your heart, another little piece of trust that you're saying, wow. So how did you gain any kind of balance in that? I mean, a mom of a small child, away from your family, losing your friends, where was your balance?
That's something that's like a pinnacle in coaching. It's one of the buzzwords, that oftentimes people really, come to learn how to create balance. And so I knew in these moments that I needed to put into practice, like walk the talk, right? Is that it? Talk the walk, walk the talk, right?
Walk the talk. Yeah.
Right. I knew I needed to implement what it was. And so I was very, very intentional about allowing So the balance comes from allowing the emotions. So I had a lot of tears, right? And there was
Yeah.
definitely some anger, and I allowed all of that. I let it, you know, be there. And then after each emotional response I had to each of these losses, I intentionally made a choice at that point, like
Mm.
moving forward, what's going to be my empowering choice? And I know that my empowering choice was not going to be bitter or anger or, you know, long lasting or resentful. And so then I would just make an empowering choice to move forward, whether it was find joy in something or, you know, because I homeschool, like, okay, today we're going to have a hands-on day. So here we go. We're going to go hiking and we're going to, you know, cook something. And, you know, I just really, you gotta throw some lightness into this, because if you, everybody has tragedy and loss in their life. If you let it like consume you and bring you down, it's really hard to come back up, and it
Yeah.
could kind of just keep you there. So I just, I faced every emotion that I had in the process, and then allowed it, and then just really made intentional empowering choices to only move forward, only keep moving forward toward healing, toward freedom. And I tell you, Donna, there were days that that I still cry, as even today, like it's
Yeah.
still sad. And so I have to, you know, experience it and then make a choice, experience it and then make a choice, you know. And that's my, you know, methodology for finding balance. I think a lot of people just want to push things under the rug or pretend it's not there, or put on a happy face, and that's just not authentic. That's not what's really going on. And I think we need to really practice what's going on and allow things to be, and then make really empowering choices from that
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, absolutely. The authentic, I think that it, for me, when I see that someone else is being vulnerable enough, and I know we don't share everything with everyone, but they're
Hmm.
being vulnerable enough to say or to show, you know, life is hard right now, but I'm figuring it out. Then that gives me courage to say, okay, well, my life can be hard and I can figure it out. I don't have to go
Yeah.
hide in a corner somewhere
Hmm.
and act like the world is fine when I'd really rather just kind of hide in the back corner of my closet if the world
Right.
really knew. I'd
Right.
rather
Right.
probably just be there.
Yeah.
So if you were, and I know you're a master of this, but let's consider that you're in a room with a woman who's sharing something similar. Describe to us what you might say to her to help her to find the balance and to find the courage to just move one more step.
Well, I would start with what I just shared about allowing each emotion, and, you know, whether that's writing it down or feeling it or, you know, going on a run or punching a pillow, whatever it was, right? Like really allowing each emotion. And then I would teach her what, you know, that tool of I, and everybody can, always has a choice, and we have a choice to make a disempowering, or we have a choice to make an empowering choice. But every moment we have a choice. And I would teach her, you know, in this moment, you have a choice to make an empowering choice or disempowering choice. And what's the choice that you are going to make that's going to only move you forward? Not one that you feel, because, but right now, right, you feel sad or you feel angry or you feel scared. So we can't make that choice from that place. We have to make a choice, an empowering choice that's only going to move you towards the direction that you want in your business or in your life, or both. So I would kind of walk her through that process of choices and empowering, disempowering choices. And then I would, this is my favorite, and then I would encourage her that if she hasn't done it before, or now is the time, that to implement boundaries. And because I think a lot of us women tend to feel that it's not relevant or not important to implement boundaries, but also not to follow through with them. And so I would encourage her and show her and coach her and ask her questions around, you know, what is a boundary that is, or two or three that you are going to need in order to create balance, but it can't be a boundary that you're not willing to follow through with. So one of the things about, implementing the tool of boundaries is if you're going to say it, then you have to be willing to follow through with it. Because if you don't follow through with it, then it sends a message to people that you say, okay, I'm going to start this boundary, right? Like you can't call me after 8 or whatever it is. But if you don't honor it, don't follow through with it, and somebody calls you at 10 o'clock and you pick up, you've now sent them a message that, what is that message you sent to them? That, your boundary isn't worth honoring. So it's okay. You can keep squishing it or squashing it, So really, really, really think it's important to incorporate honoring boundaries, setting them up, and then honoring them and following them through. And I know that is super helpful in creating balance. So those would be the 3 things I would encourage her and coach her and come alongside her.
Before we turn the corner to start ending this broadcast, and before we tell people how they can get in touch with you, Barbara, one of the things that I'd like to know is what did you learn about God that maybe you didn't know before in all of this process? Or
I would say, like, I knew it, but maybe I just didn't have the firsthand experience of it happening so often. Like, he really will take care of us. Like, he really, I just kept hearing his voice. Like, it's okay. I will take care of you. I will take care of you. I will take care of you. Right. Because as a single mom, you're always worried, like, oh, money or, safety or, what's going to happen or how's my son going to turn out? And, there's just that ever pressing voice. I will take care of you. That's what I promise. I will take care of you. I will take care of you. So that is just something that's really, really just been close to my heart through all of this.
I love that. Love that so much. So I know that there will be people who want to reach out to you, Barbara. How do they do that? How's the best way for them to reach you?
You can either pop on my website at my name, Barbara Maisonet, MAISONET.com. And there is, a way for you to reach out through there, or you can reach out to me through email, which is also my name. I know I spent a lot of time coming up with my company name, but it's easy. At least you'll remember it. It's Barbara at BarbaraMaisonet.com. Those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Terrific. Well, we will make sure that's all in the show notes and available for everyone. Is there any last thing that you would like to tell people?
Yes, I would. I want to encourage anybody listening. There is always something that's going on in our life, right? And it doesn't have to be like on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 10 tragedy. It could be, it could be a 2. It could just be something that's uncomfortable or that's causing, a little bit of sadness or a lot of sadness or a little bit of anger or a lot of anger. And my encouragement is that in those moments, right, is to really pause, right? Because sometimes we can be reactionary, but really pause and really, really ask yourself, what is it that I most want right here? And what is my choice that I'm going to make to achieve that? Right. I think us sometimes can be all over the place. And then our kids come and then we get affected over here. And then somebody tells us no. And then somebody tells us yes. And then we have to take the kids to soccer. And then like, we're figuring out what's happening for dinner. And then like, all of a sudden our moment, right. Our tragedy, whatever it is, the number 2 tragedy or the number 10 tragedy, it just gets pushed to the back burner. And then at night, we're so exhausted that we don't think about it. And then we wake up and it's still there. And so my encouragement is to take a moment and to pause and to go lock yourself in the bathroom if you have to, or lock the doors in the car and let the kids run around the car for 5 minutes, or, if you're parked at the park, right? Whatever it is, to really honor yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I really, really want or need right here? And what are the intentional, empowering choices I'm going to make to get that? And if we really practice that as women, we'll start to see, greater just greater achievements in our choices rather than just feeling at the mercy of everybody else or just chaos or running around or, checking off the boxes of, okay, I did the laundry, I made the dinner, I, cleaned the floor, or I went to work and I came back from work and, just that checklist that we could all do
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
I think it's important for women to be intentional and to really pause and honor what they're going through, the emotions or, the thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. So beautiful and so powerful. Barbara, thank you so much for being my guest today.
You're welcome, Donna. I appreciate it. I'm honored and I'm so super grateful to have this opportunity.
And we will make sure everyone can find you in the show notes. So if you've listened today and something that Barbara has said has sparked you and you want to know more about her and what she has for you, be sure and do that. And I know she's offered a nice little coaching package, and we'll put those in the notes so you can get to that too. Thank you again, Barbara. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really hope that something that you heard helped you to be encouraged and inspired. And in fact, if it has, would you do me a favor? Would you please just share this with a friend of yours and join me over on social media on Facebook and Instagram? Well, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. But be sure and go to the website, donnawoolham.com, and grab the free resources that we have for you. Thanks again, and have a wonderful Living at My Best day.